I remember hearing Redneck Woman for the first time and I went, oh, shit. She tried to park the thing. And the ass end of this truck is hanging right out in the middle of the road. And I'm just like,
Can you give me any Blake's stories? From
I got a great one.
Early Blake. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, early Blake, mullet Blake. My best Blake story was CMA Fest, then Fanfare at the fairgrounds. And it's more of a story that he should tell because it's pretty funny. But he was getting out of a car and getting into a golf cart to go sign. And there were a bunch of fans behind him. All they could see was behind him.
A mullet.
And they're going, Terry! Hey, Terry! I'm like, this is really bad for me. And really bad for him. Like, seriously? People saw me as, like, I looked like a football player with a mullet? What the hell, man? What is wrong with this?
That's hilarious.
And then he immediately cut his hair.
Really? That's the reason?
He tells a story. Like, that might be one of the reasons why he cut his hair.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I don't want to be
epic.
mistaken for a chick, man.
So that one moment essentially changed country music because, I mean, the mullet, when he lost the mullet, was a big deal.
I take it as a compliment. He has a better ass than me.
What about, do you toured with Toby?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
I did the whole Throwdown tour in 2000. Gosh, what year was it? 2003, I think. 2004. And we just had so much. The reason I'm blanking is because we also drank a lot. Toby had some epic parties on his bus after shows, and Brian O'Connell, our promoter for those shows at the time, who's still a very good friend, would DJ with his computer. He'd have all the tunes going, and that bus was just up, and we'd start rocking, you know? And Toby and I spent a lot of time together on that tour, just hanging out after shows and chewing the fat, talking. I got advice from him. We had some very funny moments. We shared a few dips and a few whiskeys, and I absolutely loved the man. I appreciated his his sense of individuality and who he was, and his authenticity and his songwriting. I mean, gosh, there are a lot of good singers out there, and Toby was a good singer and a great singer, but not everybody can write a song like that just appeals to the masses. And he like got into his audience's head and knew what they wanted to hear. And I think he just wrote from his heart. And when you do that, we all have a heart. We all can relate. And he's so missed. And it makes me really sad. I'm not ever going to see him again in this lifetime. But I think we'll all see each other again.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be a hell of a band.
Yeah.
Right?
He's already up there rocking.
No, I know it.
You were surrounded by it was a lot of guys in country music then. Now there's a lot of women and a lot of camaraderie within the women. Was there any camaraderie with the women that were around when you were?
I think there was camaraderie, but I think it felt almost like, I'm sure there's competitiveness going on today. With the new, a sense of competing with yourself more than anything. But I find because there was such a stale point at radio for women in country music for a long time, and it's still not even by any sense. I think there's a more of a we got to stick togetherness now than there was in the 90s when everybody was getting airplay. I mean, all the women who were making great records were getting airplay, and there just doesn't seem to be as much room for every woman now. And for whatever reason, I think that has actually brought everybody closer together. Like I sense a real sisterhood of women supporting women now that, not that we didn't have that then, but it feels much stronger now.
Well, was there anyone that, looking back on your career, was there anyone that you were like, man, I was too overly competitive? I know you mentioned the Blake Shelton Austin thing, but like female wise, was there anyone that you were like, man, I was just too overly competitive with Shania, and I shouldn't have done that? Or
are we allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, Shania and I were it was apples and oranges. We were on the same label. If anything, she probably helped my career because they were probably able to leverage her to help me get some stuff. But Shania was Canadian. She was on the same label. The place where I felt her the most was probably at a Canadian awards shows.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, of course. She's got to be Canadian. And Paul Brandt comes up to me one day and he goes, I'm so sorry, Terry. It's like if Garth Brooks were Canadian, I'd be screwed. So I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm going up against the 800-pound gorilla who happens to be Canadian. But no, I'm so proud of her success, and she's on another stratosphere. She's like a Taylor Swift type of fame. You can't compare with that. But yeah, to be really honest, it was like I kind of felt like I was just doing my own thing for the longest time. We all compete for radio airplay at that time. We're all competing. I just worked so much. I think my agent at William Morris told me one time, he said, you are probably the hardest working girl on our roster. And they have a big roster, and I worked a lot of dates for a lot of years. I opened a lot of tours. I was definitely the opening act for a lot of really great tours, which helped me get in front of big audiences and hone, entertaining people. But I remember hearing Redneck Woman for the first time, and I went, oh, shit.
Here we go. Yeah.
That one kind of got me a little bit. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
What a hit, though. I love
huge,
Gretchen.
yeah.
I'm really happy for her. But, yeah, that was kind of a whoo. Wow, I better strap on my seatbelt. Here she comes.
Interesting. You also work with Lainey. Do you see like a young Terri Clark and Lainey? Like she's
just her own person, and absolutely, like she's. When I came out in 1995, I looked at all the women and what they were doing, and I just did something completely else different. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I see what everybody's doing right now, so I'm gonna do the opposite. And the guys were all wearing cowboy hats and starched Wranglers, and I was comfortable in that, just being from Alberta and selling Western apparel for a living. And Lainey, grew up farming and ranching and all of that stuff. I didn't, but I love that she's just created her own brand and image from the get-go. And, I see a lot of women wearing cowboy hats now. So, if I was coming out now, I probably wouldn't, just because everybody else is.
Well, it's interesting because that's what she said. She thinks is part of her success is that she just did exactly what you said. She studied what all the women were doing and then did the opposite.
Yeah. And bell bottoms, she's got a couple things going on. She doesn't wear, the same hat all the time.
Yeah.
It's not always like a cattleman's crease cowboy hat or Texas style hat, but she definitely has her own thing going on and is so successful. And I got to tell you, when she pulled up to do this session, she showed up without a manager, without an entourage. She pulled up in the biggest, highest pickup truck I've ever seen. And she tried to park the thing in there. The ass end of this truck is hanging right out in the middle of the road. And I'm just like, we're directing her to get as close as possible to the curb. And she needed a ladder to get out of the thing, but she was so genuinely sweet. Just pulled up by herself. All right, let's go to work.
Wow.
And I just knew she was the real deal right off the bat.